take a look at this little weird Seiko that I managed to pick up. It is a vintage Seiko Sports 150. It's a Seiko Diver that I'm pretty sure is from the 80s, and somehow it survived unscathed and unused until now. I bought it new old stock. Its name here, its reference is SGG 120, but if you're familiar with these old Seikos, and Citizens as well, usually the tags are long gone, and most people refer to the watch by the movement and case, which is 7N43, 7A49. 7N43, I feel like they're still using that movement. Anyway, it's a dive watch. It does have a screw back, as you can see here, and if I'm not mistaken, the 150 means it's rated for 150 meters. The crown is a screw down crown, surprisingly enough, but just look at the size of this watch. It is tiny. One of the things that I really do like about getting these older watches, you could kind of just see how things evolved over time. This was clearly a men's size for the time. Like if you were wearing this in the 80s, this would not have been considered small. I have other watches from the 80s, and that's generally the trend. There was actually a brief period of time called the thinness wars, where everyone was competing on thinness because Quartz could finally allow for that. So yeah, this watch is... So I always angle this so the camera can see and I can see. 37 millimeters? Do I have that right? Yeah, we'll go with 37 millimeter. That's kind of small for a dive watch. Even those 38 millimeter Seikos that came out recently, those feel bigger than this. But this was standard. This wasn't even the smallest size of its time. It's two-tone, but because of course it is, because that was the way of things in the 80s. Pressed clasp, as was common. Folded links, as was common. But the condition of this watch is really stellar. And I'm really liking the way this crown works. You see it kind of extends up like an actual crown or on your head. So this is not a crown, this is a bezel. That's a crown. This bezel feels like it's wearing a crown, or I guess a tiara, something like that. But it is very grippable. That's a word. It is soft. I don't know if that's like IP coated, some other material, if this is aluminum or not. It's hard to say, but it feels great. It's bidirectional. The idea that all dive watches, let's zoom in on this. I'm making you stare at your screen. There's this really cool vertical brushing that you can kind of see at the right lights. But usually, yeah, it looks something like that. Most of the time, that's what I'm seeing. So SQ means Seiko Quartz. I'm pretty sure most of their Quartz watches had that at the time. That's a really nice feeling bezel. Oh yeah, I was in the middle of saying the idea that a dive watch has to have a unidirectional bezel. That's kind of the norm now. If you bought a diver that didn't do that, you'd think something was wrong. But at this time, that wasn't the case. There were plenty, especially the less expensive watches from Seiko, Citizen, Casio. Yeah, this is really cool. The suggested retail price, or today what we'd call MSRP, of $375. I think stuff from the 80s to today is maybe doubled or so. So let's just go with $700, $800 or something in today's money. Really cool. I do like the size of it, and normally I don't like two-tone watches, but I feel like they wear better when they're smaller like this. Like on a large watch, it feels a little opulent. This is just gives it some character. So I wanted to compare it to some other Seikos that I have, and then we can kind of close it out with a little bit of a loom shot. This watch on the right, this people call the Dress KX. I think it's the SRPE something or other. It's the bezel-less Seiko 5 Diver. It's automatic. I just said I don't like two-tone. This is one of the few watches that I have that is two-tone, and I do like it. It's not on the bracelet. and it's a rose gold. This is a small watch, normally considered a small watch. It's on an Uncle Straps bracelet, and I really do like this. I think it has a good amount of sportiness to it, but you can kind of wear it out to something a little nicer. But yeah, it's clearly larger, and it doesn't even have a turning bezel, and that's a small watch. This watch here, I can't remember which of these watches have been on the channel. Another Seiko 5, one of the newer GMT models. My voice is cracking. This is the same size as the SKX. You can just see that comparison. This one, this is definitely larger than the diverless, the bezel-free diver, but it doesn't feel much larger. But yeah, it does dwarf the one on the left. I have this other watch for comparison. I made a review of this not too long ago. This is a massive Citizen 46 millimeter, and that just kind of dominates this watch. I wanted to bring it out because they actually have a very similar bezel. When I was playing around with this one, I was like, you know what? I have that vintage Seiko that I found that has this kind of a like a crown or like a castle above everything. It's the same way that it's cut away in the side you have there, but a much smaller extent. Let me get some other dimensions on this, and then we'll see if the loom still works. Yeah, it's only 10 millimeters thick. Or thin. That's a pretty small. And what do we got here? We got 43. Yeah, small watch indeed. Small watch in all dimensions, kind of as you'd expect. Put it on the wrist one last time. The bracelet's not sized, so if I tilt it too much, it'll just fall off. Really cool. Let's kill the lights, and that'll be that. And it still glows. And really well. Yeah, wow, that loom is still shining. But compared with some of Seiko's best today, Seiko does loom really well, especially on their divers today. Yeah, you can see it's not the same, and it's fading fast. I'm pretty sure loom dies over time. It degrades and it loses its effectiveness. Wow, with my bare eyes, I'm looking right at this thing and I'm seeing it die. Remember, the camera adjusts with the white balance, so it kind of will keep things. Yeah, the camera still shows it glowing, but with my naked eye, yeah, it looks just like white indices. Anyways, there you go. That is, I don't know if there's another video of this watch anywhere online. That is the Seiko SGG 120 from the 1980s there. 150 meter quartz diver with instant day date, which, yes, was a big thing at the time. You can just change the day and the date as opposed to making the hour hand go around and around and around, which was the case. All right, I think that's it. Thank you very much. See you next time.